that focuses on helping individuals to overcome their challenges through life skills education. In particular, we utilize faith-based principles in helping persons to overcome life challenges. Today we'll be embarking on our series, Meditations that Break Cycles. Now, for our first topic, we'll be focusing on filling the empty spaces, in particular, the need for love. Let's dive in. Now, our scripture for meditation is taken from Colossians 2, verses 8 to 10. Now, we'll be focusing on the scripture today as we embark on the need to fill the empty spaces. Now, we are all aware that we all have empty spaces. I might be presumptuous in saying that because some persons might say, I don't have an empty space, I am complete. But for those who feel that sometimes there's something missing, I wanted to start this meditational series in focusing on persons who feel this emptiness inside, this void, and they don't know how to fill it. You may embark upon various things or strategies in trying to fill these gaps that you feel inside, and you realize that when you have tried all of these strategies that you still feel empty at the end of the day. However, there is an answer and there is a solution to the problem, and that's what we intend to focus on today. Now, what are empty spaces? Now, an empty space is defined as an unoccupied space. The space where we often know it exists, but we don't quite know how to fill it. Can you associate with this? Do you feel that sometimes there is something there, as I was saying earlier, and you're trying different things? You might try drugs, you might try having sex with different partners, you might try having friends in your space, your personal space. You may lack boundaries because you want persons to be so engrossed in you and become a part of you that you just allow anything to happen because you feel that friendships fill the space. You may go to church and you may feel like church fills the space. You may embark on several ventures, but you find that there is this empty space that is there and you don't know how to fill it. But and you're looking for answers. So today I really hope that this topic is really covered expansively, as well as it is able to assist you while you embark on this journey to find that filling for that need that is there. So let's go on further. Now, there are a few needs which will be addressed in a series of articles series that we're coming out with, such as the need for love, purpose, belonging, trust, independence, peace, and wisdom. However, this series will focus on the need for love. So you have a space that's there and it's empty. And some of us can identify with that space. We know what that space is, but it's not being filled. And that space may be love for you because at the stage that you're currently at, you feel like you ought to be loved by someone, or you feel like you ought to be engaged in a romantic relationship, or you may feel like you should be loved by a parent, and because you haven't been loved by a parent, you aren't able to progress. Or you may feel like you should be loved by your friends, but your friends don't accept you for who you are. So you feel that emptiness inside, and you're trying to find ways to fill it by probably compensating in certain circumstances or situations to try to fill that gap or that hole. Now, before we talk about how to fill that empty space that we identify as the need for love, let us discuss love. And there was one point in time when I was so obsessed with the topic of love that I went and I researched love. I researched the different types of love, and the best definition that I have found is found in 1 Corinthians 13, verse 4 to 7, and it states. The definition that I have found is found in 1 Corinthians 13, verse 4 to 7, and it states, "Love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. Now, to me, this is the best definition for love, and it fits every relationship that you can find, whether it's romantic, whether it's parent-child, whether it may be boss-employee, whether it may be pastor-saint, any situation that you find yourself in and you use the term love. This definition is so applicable because it shows that love is an action word. Now, there are 3 key strategies in attending for the need for love, which we'll dive into further. Now, the first strategy is to discover God's love for you. Yeah, everybody keeps saying I should discover God's love for me. It doesn't make sense because it's one-sided. You may be thinking that. And I have heard many persons say that it is one-sided when you're reading, you're fasting, you're not hearing the voice of the Lord. But I believe that we need to come to the point where we believe that God is real and He's not just this fictitious being that is there and we call upon Him whenever something goes bad, we're in the hospital or we feel like we're dying or we just feel lost and we call upon Him. We have to know God prior to our struggles and our testaments, and we have to acknowledge that He is real and He's a God that loves us and wants us to love Him back the way that He loves us. Maybe not the way He loves us, because the way He loves us is unconditional, and because of our imperfections we're not able to love Him on the same wavelength as He does us. But He requires love from us, and sometimes we're seeking to fill that empty space for love from others, and they're not able to love us the way how we want to be loved. But God is the key to filling that need that we have. And let's talk about the fact that only God can love you unconditionally. Your children, I always say the closest love that you could ever find is the love for a child, for a parent. And it is close, but it is not the love that God has for you. And there's scripture to back it up. The scripture says that, but God demonstrates His own love for us in this: while we were still sinners, He died for us. Romans 5:8 states this. And to think that you are a sinner and you are unworthy of this love and you are getting this love, it's like being with someone and you feel like you're not worthy for this person's love because they're so good to you, but yet they keep loving you through no action of your own, you may feel, and they keep loving you. That's the love that God has for us, and even greater. We don't deserve the love that He has for us, but He keeps loving us anyway. And if we should just step out of our own boxes and start connecting with Him, start trying to seek Him, to find Him, to search for Him, we will see that there's just only certain things that can fill certain needs. But when we tap into Him, He is able to fill that gap, that hole that we have inside us, where we are trying to replace the love that we should have for God with other people. We use other people to replace that love that it's really for God. That space is for God. He made us with that space for Him. And when we tap into Him and that space becomes complete, then we realize why it was there in the first place. Now, how do you go about tapping into the love that God has for you? It's outlined. We hear it every day. And here are some tips. Read the Bible. The Bible is where he inspired prophets, to write His word. He invested His word in them so that we have a manual that we can, connect with Him. So reading the Bible is very important. Persons used to be so confused with the Bible, but there are so many different versions nowadays. You have the Message version. You have the the English Standard Version, and there's so many, the NIV version. So if you don't understand the King James Version, then there are other versions that are there. Pray. Prayer doesn't have to be elaborate. It can be just something that you just say. God, I'm so tired. God, you see that girl over there, how she is just messed up? I mean, you can just talk to God about how you feel. Be honest with Him. Find and study a good Bible study daily. I found a very good Bible study from Harvest Time International Ministries, and I feel like it is life-saving. Like, it changed my life. And I know that it can help you too. Listen to gospel music. What you put in is what you get out. So listen to gospel music. Listen to songs that connect you with God. And fasting, for those who are inclined, it's good to fast, because when you fast, you deny the flesh so that his spirit can connect with you. Because remember, He's perfect. And in denying the flesh, then His spirit can connect with you. Now, when you embrace the unconditional love that God has for you completely, then you will start feeling filled. And the closer you get to Him, is the more filled you become, is the more complete you feel. And I really encourage you to start that first step, to really connect with God. Now, the second major step to filling the need for love, discover your love for yourself. Now, when you love yourself, you won't go seeking it somewhere else because you want to fill the need. When you love yourself, you won't go seeking it somewhere else. It is very important to love yourself. That's the first standard that is set. If you don't love yourself, then you are incapable of truly, completely loving someone else. Now, some tips in learning to love yourself. 1, be patient with yourself. Always remember that you aren't a finished product. Sometimes we're too hard on ourselves because we feel that we should jump from A to B. And I remember saying to someone I know, she was learning something for the first time and she was getting so aggravated with herself. And I kept saying to her, remember, you just started. So just be patient with yourself. Oftentimes, we lack that. We are able, some of us were able to be patient with others, but we're not able to be patient with ourselves. And being patient with yourself is very important, because it is what helps us in progressing into who we want to be. Oftentimes we just see who we want to be and we expect to jump into it. But life is not that way. Life is progress, and it takes work. And we have to invest the time and the patience that is needed to get from point A to B. Now, be true. The second step is being truthful with your feelings. Sometimes, I don't know if it's you, but sometimes we tell ourselves lies, and we're not truthful as to who we really are, how we really feel about ourselves to ourselves. So we live these lives, not bearing in mind that we are being truthful. And as the old proverb or adage says, to thine own self be true. If you can't be truthful to yourself, then you're going to project an image to others that is not real. And you can't get to love yourself if you don't embrace how you truly feel about you. If you feel really bad about yourself, if you feel like you're inadequate, if you feel like you're weak, you're incompetent, then you need to embrace the fact that this is how you feel, because it is in accepting how you feel that you're able to take the next steps to becoming who you want to be, or to becoming the better version of who you are capable of becoming. Now, you need to explore perceptions of self and its source. How did I start feeling about myself? How did I start feeling this way about myself? Like, I have been a counselor for the past 10 years, and I've realized that a lot of the thoughts and perceptions that individuals have of themselves is based on earlier teachings from parents, family members, strangers, friends. Sometimes persons invest so many negative or positive things in us that we start believing it. And then when we start believing it, we become it. So you need to assess, if you're thinking that, man, I'm ugly, where did that thought first come from? Reflect. Where did that thought first come from, that you felt ugly and you felt inadequate? Where did that thought first come from? Who said it to you? Who made you believe something that was not real? You need to address that thought. Address it, arrest it, process it, work through it and start thinking, practicing to think differently about yourself. So it's really time to be truthful and to explore those perceptions that you came up with. And if you're not able to do it on your own, I recommend that you find a therapist that will be able to help you to explore those emotions. They will help you to process it so that you can go on the path of recovery, of being who you were meant to be and not who person said that you were or were not when you were younger. Now learn forgiveness. This is integral because the same persons who invested all of that negativity inside of you, you will have to learn to forgive them. And forgiveness means letting go completely. It's like a reset button. You're starting fresh and you're starting new, and sometimes you have to learn to forgive those persons who invested all of those negative thoughts and emotions inside of you so that you can be free not only for them but for you. So you have to learn to forgive. The next step is to identify and improve on strengths and weaknesses. Where there are strengths, you can enhance them, but where there's a weakness, you can turn it into a strength. So it's a process of learning to love yourself. And remember the first step. Be patient with yourself. Now, loving yourself is important because if you don't, then how are you able to truly love anyone else? Now, I have often said, you can't give what you don't have. And some persons really don't know who they are before they engage in romantic relationships. You have to know who you are before you share yourself with somebody else. Or else that person is going to inherit someone whom they can't totally connect with because there's a gap. There is a gap because the person don't know who they truly are before they can share themselves with somebody else. What is it that you like? What don't you like? What ticks you off? What makes you happy? These are basic questions, but even more so, you have to learn other things about yourself. Enjoy yourself. Embrace yourself before you jump into a relationship and you share yourself with somebody else, because it's not just a relationship with a romantic partner, but partners have children and we transfer all of these emotions and feelings that we have about ourselves to our children, and the cycle continues. And that's why it's so important that this company was called Breaking Cycles, because it's all about breaking those things that we were taught. And we take them on and then we teach them to somebody else, and they take them on and they teach them to somebody else. We have to be very aware of the cycles that we are perpetuating and the cycles that have been perpetuated towards us, so that we can break them, so that the future generation can start thinking more positively, can start thinking more healthy, can start embracing themselves and learning the path of self-development, positive self-development. Now remember, Mark 12 verse 30 to 31 states, love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind and with all your strength. The second is this, love your neighbor as yourself. There is no commandment greater than these. If you don't love yourself, how can you love your neighbor? Think about that. Now the final step is showing love to others. Now if we don't love others, then we do not understand the basic principle of love, which is that it has to be shared. Love held tightly cannot show its true potential, but when it is given to another, it grows beyond measure, beyond potential, beyond measure. It grows, it's expansive. Now, when we tend to hold things tightly, so when we love somebody, we hold on to them and we don't want to let them go because we're afraid that if we let them go, they won't come back. But love is not about holding on to things tightly. Love is about sharing, and we have to share the love that we have. It's not about me alone and my self-love only, but it's about loving others. And we don't realize that when we're not able to love others besides ourselves and our family members, it impacts the things we love. Because loving others means this, right? And we can always say I love my family, but I don't love those individuals. But you have to realize that when you don't love other people, it impacts the love that you have for your family. Why? Because the basic definition of love means being patient. So when you learn the skill of patience, it's just not for your family. It is being patient with others out there. Love also means being kind. It means sharing with others. It means it means being kind in the words that you say, and whatever you practice, it becomes perfect. Loving others means not envying others. So I don't see her house and I'm like, oh my god, her house is so nice, and she buy her house and it looks really good. It means being happy for somebody and working towards attaining that home for yourself. You know, love means not being arrogant. Sometimes we're too arrogant. It's all about me. It's all about what I am doing. It's all about the money that I'm making. And we are arrogant to the point where we put other persons down to build a platform for ourselves. I always say, what would the world be like if it was just only me, or it was only one person and there's nobody else? It wouldn't be the same. We need people to survive. That is why I don't subscribe to this new thinking where it's all about me and what I want and my platform, and this self-expression that focuses on the self only. If we keep on thinking about ourselves, then what will happen to society? What will happen to the community at large? Now, loving others also means not putting your self-importance before others, not lording yourself up. It means not bringing shame or disgrace on others. And this is why we have the gaps sometimes, because we don't know that when we love other people, they fill the gaps that we have inside of us. People fill the gaps. That's why selfishness is so bad, because when we are selfish, we're not opening up ourselves to others. And it's people that bring blessings. It is people that make us happy. It's not things. It's not material things. It's people. Loving others means putting the welfare and interests of others before self. No, let's be real. I am telling you this, but I am also grappling with some of these things, because the world has gotten a way where you feel like everybody is just digging for themselves, and then you now have to be putting the welfare of others before self. It's hard, but it can be done. We can practice this. We can learn to put the welfare of others before ourselves, because when we do it, then somebody else will do it for somebody else. Then somebody else will do it for somebody else. And we create a chain reaction, which really changes things, which enhances things, which makes our community and our society better. Loving others means controlling your anger. And some of us struggle with anger issues. And if we love people, we have to learn to control what we say and we do to them. Loving all others also means not keeping scores of another's wrongdoing. Sometimes we keep too many scores. We say, all right, you did this to me last week, so I'm keeping it here and I'm writing it down. And then you build it and you build it and you build it, and you're not forgiving. And we destroy that relationship because we're holding on tightly to the things that persons do to us instead of letting it go. And sometimes we just have to let go of things, because that is how we are going to progress. That is how we're going to be better, when we let go of things. It also means rejoicing in the good rather than the downfall of others. Too many persons rejoice when people fall. I mean, you can just scroll on social media, just go on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, and you see people laughing when people are hurt, people laughing when people aren't successful. The comments are just horrible, and you see we're not applauding people anymore. We're really ecstatic at the fact that they are failing, and we really need to look at ourselves, because are we really displaying love when we look down on others and we laugh at their downfall instead of rejoicing with them? Can you imagine what it would mean if we rejoiced with individuals instead of looking down on them? wow, it would be so different. Love also means protecting people, trusting people, having hope in others, and persevering even when things are going wrong. We are all imperfect beings, but sometimes we hold individuals by perfect standards, and we don't require those standards for ourselves. We have to learn to have a little faith in humanity and others. And in doing all of these things, we're not doing it just like that. We're doing it through God. We're putting our hope and our faith in God, and He will guide us because He gave us this manual to live by. And we have to realize that in showing love to others, we'll begin to recognize that our love tanks will be filled. I loved Dr. Gary Chapman's book, The 5 Love Languages, or is it the 7? Sorry. But it was so impactful that, you know, I do believe that we have a lot of persons going around with their love tanks being empty. You know, it's not being filled. And, you know, because our love tanks is empty, it creates that space that is inside of us. And that space can only be filled through our love for God, our love for self, and our love for others. Thanks for listening to this meditation, and I really hope it has blessed you and it has been impactful. And tune in and look forward to our other series, Filling the Space Within, or Filling the Empty Spaces. Thanks a lot for listening. Have a great day.